Hello everyone, this is Taryn with Wonderfully Made Handcrafting and welcome to day 16 of By the Well for God's Witness to the Wonder. Now today we're talking about Bethlehem, and I did some previous stamp surgery before this process video so I could create it. And this is that Bethlehem stamp set from last year, and I just cut the little cityscape scene out, and I used my pencil to draw an outline, so when I fed this paper through my typewriter, I knew exactly where that stamp set was going to belong. I know I definitely want a good impression of this cityscape, and so I'm using my Stamperatus stamp positioning tool from Stampin Up. I love this stamp positioning tool. If you don't have one already, this one is definitely a must. I'll link it down below. I do use that super fine clear embossing powder over my VersaFine ink to give me that nice crisp line. And then I'm going to be using my Distress Oxides to color this all in. So like I said before, today is about Bethlehem, and Judy quotes John MacArthur, and he writes, "That night in Bethlehem, an innkeeper was confronted by a man and his pregnant wife. He turned them away, saying he had no room for them. And so he missed Christmas. Not only did he turn Mary and Joseph away, but he apparently did not even call for anyone to help a young mother about to give birth. The song, 'While You Were Sleeping,' laments, 'O Bethlehem, what you have missed while you were sleeping. For God became a man and stepped into your world today. O Bethlehem, you will go down in history as a city with no room for its king.'" And that last line is honestly just gut-wrenching for me. Are we as individuals that city with no room for its king? Are we indifferent to our king? He is here, and are we in awe and astounded and in wonder by him? Or are we just flippantly just pushing him away? Even if it's not something that we are meaning to do necessarily, but are we, how's our attitude? Do we know the things that we're supposed to do but not do them? Or are we hospitable and obedient? Habakkuk 1:5 says, "Look among the nations and see, wonder and be astounded. For I am doing a work in your days that you would not believe if told." So the back side of this card actually has that whole John MacArthur quote, and now I'm focusing on the front side. I wanted to reiterate that line from the song, so I added that to a label, and I'm layering that on top of one of these tickets that was available in the printable file. I do have this fabric that was from a bow clippy that I decided to just deconstruct, and I'm going to add some hand stitching to it with some folds. Now, when I try to hand stitch a dashed line or just a regular stitch, it always ends up super wonky. So instead, my go-to are these little X marks. I really like them. Eventually, maybe someday, my lines won't look so wonky when I hand stitch, but for right now, the X's are doing it for me. I don't want this card to be too dark, but I do want to make it look aged a little bit, so I will be adding some of that distress ink on the label and also on the outer edges of the card and all the ephemera pieces. I know this background is all florals, and I actually want to add a little bit more to it, so I'm going to pop one of these die cuts up on some foam tape. This will just add some interest and some depth to this Memory Decks card. I was kind of gravitating towards those orange poinsettia flowers, but instead I decided to go for this one, which is definitely different. I didn't even print these out as extras, so this will be something special for the card. Now that everything is aged looking, I am going to start gluing stuff down. I start with this fabric piece because it's going to live behind the label. I will end up popping up this label, so I'm going to put that ticket down as well. I'm just kind of trying to stage it and make sure that it is looking good with that label on top. So since that label is on foam tape, I'm also going to be putting this floral on foam tape. It's going to kind of rest on the same level as it because it's obviously the same foam tape. Now this scrapbook.com foam tape I actually really like because it isn't too high of a foam tape. It just adds the perfect level. I feel like a lot of those little foam dots can be super chunky, and although I like the chunk, I just like a simple low profile foam tape. So once that floral piece is on, I also have to add day 16. I decided to go along with the tile alphas, and I'm going to add that to the right hand side of this card, kind of like it's going up vertically. So I'll add that to the background. And this kind of gets a little bit lost because there's so much going on in this background. And so to kind of combat that, I am going to be outlining each one with my Micron pen, and that completely changes the look of it and makes these pop off the page a little bit. After adding the Advent day, this card is done. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can follow me over on Instagram at Wonderfully Made Handcrafting. If you want to press the bell notification button, it'll let you know every time I post a new video. I will link everything I use down below. And if you haven't seen day 15's process video, I will link that next. I hope you have a wonderful day and Merry Christmas.